Mechanic tried to scam me for $1,200, then got a visit from the cops. When I got promoted and moved to a new state, everything seemed to be going perfectly. The company paid for my relocation, movers packed everything, and I drove my old 2005 Santa Fe through the mountains to my new home. Somewhere on the descent into the state, I felt a slight vibration when braking, and a squeak started to appear. I figured it was just time for new pads, or maybe the rotors needed machining. Nothing major. Once we got settled in, I decided to take the car to a local mechanic that one of my new co-workers recommended. The place had solid online reviews, so I dropped it off early in the morning. I asked for a tire rotation and a free inspection, just to confirm what I already suspected. I specifically told the guy behind the counter not to do any work unless I gave authorization first. He smiled, wrote it down, and said, no problem. About an hour later, my phone rang. The shop manager said he had some unfortunate news. According to him, my brakes were completely shot. I needed new pads, rotors, and calipers. He said it would cost about $1,200, but assured me not to worry because they had already started working on it and it would be done that afternoon. I was stunned. I hadn't approved a thing. I told him to stop working immediately and that I was coming down to the shop. While driving there, I called another repair place with better ratings and explained what had happened. The woman on the phone sounded annoyed but not surprised. That sounds fishy, she said. Calipers don't need to be replaced unless they're leaking. Pads and rotors, maybe $300 total. We can take a look if you bring it in. I arrived at the first shop and told the manager I was taking my car elsewhere for a second opinion. That's when things got weird. He crossed his arms and said, I can't let you drive it. The brakes are unsafe, and I'd be legally responsible if anything happened. I can have it towed to another shop for $150. I told him that was nonsense. He wasn't legally responsible for what I did after leaving. He refused to back down and repeated that he'd done this before and knew the law. I could either pay him to tow it or pay for the repair. Those were my options, according to him. I took a deep breath and told him calmly, if you don't release my car, I'm calling the police. He smirked and said, go ahead, they'll take my side. So I did exactly that. I called the non-emergency police line and explained the situation. The dispatcher transferred me to a local officer who was incredibly understanding. She confirmed that the mechanic had no legal right to hold my car. She warned me that if the brakes were bad, I'd be responsible for any consequences, but that was my choice, not his. She asked to speak with him directly, so I handed over my phone. He immediately got defensive, accused her of pretending to be a cop, and told her she didn't know what she was talking about. She told him she'd be happy to clarify in person. About 15 minutes later, a patrol car pulled into the lot. Two officers stepped out, already briefed on what was going on. They asked me to confirm who the manager was, then walked straight up to him. The conversation was short. They handed him a piece of paper, probably a citation, and told him to return my vehicle immediately. The look on his face was priceless. The tech scrambled to reassemble my brakes, and after 4 stressful hours, they rolled the Santa Fe out of the bay. The manager handed me a new invoice, $50 for the tire rotation and $100 for the inspection. I looked him dead in the eye and said, you didn't rotate anything. The tires were in the exact same position. The police officers were still there watching, and he knew better than to argue. He voided the invoice and handed me a $0 receipt. I drove straight to the second shop. They inspected everything and confirmed what I already knew. Only the pads needed replacement, and the rotors could be machined. The calipers were perfectly fine. The total came to $200, and the car felt brand new afterward. That shop became my go-to mechanic for the next several years. A few days later, one of the officers followed up with me. Turns out, the first repair shop had been reported before for similar behavior. Unauthorized repairs, inflated prices, and refusing to release vehicles. My report apparently helped build a stronger case. Looking back, it still amazes me how confident that manager was. He thought he could bluff his way through, quote, fake laws and bully customers into paying for unnecessary repairs. Instead, he ended up with the police standing in his shop, watching him hand back my keys for free. That old Santa Fe is still running, and every time I drive it, I think about that day, the smug mechanic, the flashing lights outside his shop, and the sound of my perfectly fine brakes as I pulled away, knowing he'd just learned a very expensive lesson.